So this is going to be a bit of an introduction, I think, before everybody sort of gets in there.
Sure.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
For people who are watching this on demand and whatnot, my name is Travis. I am the marketing supervisor for NIS America. Joining me today, I have
Robert Shodas. I am the lead editor for Labyrinth of Refrain, Coven of Dusk, which we are streaming live today.
So we are doing this because we debuted Labyrinth of Refrain at our press event. For those who haven't seen it, we have the press event on archive as well, so you can check that out after this. We also have the initial announcement trailer that we put out for this. This is Labyrinth of Refrain. This is a game made by our parent company, NISJ.
Yeah.
I see people are already in there. That's really great. Hokuro46, will the stream be archived? It sure will. Like all of our streams, it will be available after we finish up. So let's just get in here.
Sure.
Labyrinth of Refrain, Coven of Dusk. A little bit of history.
So this title was originally released for PS Vita. It is a dungeon crawler RPG. You play as...
I think we just started up here.
Dusk Witch Dronia. Well, actually, this book, In Possession by Dusk Witch Dronia, known as the Tractatus de Monstrum. And with this book, you command an army of puppet soldiers to explore this mysterious labyrinth in the town of Refrain.
So I just want to bring it back just a little bit.
Sure.
So this was originally out on Vita in Japan.
Yes.
Then it came to PS4.
It came to PS4 last September.
In Japan.
In Japan.
This February, we announced that we are bringing it here with English and Japanese voices, English text, French text. It is going to be for PS4,
Yes.
Nintendo Switch,
Yes.
and Steam for PC.
Yes.
So that's kind of the big difference here. This is kind of the newest IP, sort of brought to you by the people who brought you Disgaea.
Yes.
It is, as you can tell here, some absolute classic Harada art.
Love that guy.
Also on music.
Yes. It's the same score team for Disgaea as well. You pretty much have the whole Disgaea A team working on this title, and it really shows just purely in the artwork, music, dungeon design. Like, it's a really phenomenal title, and I hope you all get a chance to. I hope you all play it when it comes out later.
Yeah. So I believe right now it says Fall 2018 for our release date. We don't have a specific release date yet. The release date we're putting out right now is Fall 2018. But a lot of people talked to us after we did the debut, and they said, wow, this trailer looks really cool, but it's kind of light on gameplay. And so, sort of correct that, we came up with the idea that we should be doing this sort of preview stream for you guys, where we're going to go through just sort of the beginning of the game and take a look at sort of the gameplay elements of it.
Yeah, so right at the start of the game opens with Dronia and her young apprentice Luca, this cute little moe blob girl, arriving at the town of Refrain under some heretofore kind of mysterious circumstances. All is revealed as you play through, but just starting out, we kind of are immediately introduced to our, principal lead and her, supporting character. We have this interaction with Nutamata, or Newt as he's called in this game, this drunk shepherd. We have quite a humorous exchange here. But this early encounter pretty much sets the tone for the game and for Dronia's character in particular. She's not, this wilting flower. She's very strong, very opinionated, very determined. She's here at Refrain for a very specific reason, and nothing is going to get in the way of her true intentions for being in this town. Okay, so we got some more comments coming in. Yay for more PC versions, says Florashi. I hope the rest of Disgaea comes to PC. We've seen really good responses from our PC versions of our Disgaea. We are looking to support that in the future as well. Mr. Random 28, glad it's getting a PC version. We are too. Originally it didn't get a PC version, and so that's sort of one of the big things that's different about this version for us.
is going to be the PC version. The Steam page is up right now. If you guys want to take a look, we do recommend putting it on your wish list because you'll get all the notifications about updates and various different things that come along during the development process.
Mm-hmm.
So we're still sort of outside this part. This is just the dialogue sequences.
Yeah, definitely.
But this is an RPG.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and with the chat's permission, or actually, I'll just do it anyway. I think we'll skip this.
Yeah. So we're gonna skip through this. We really want to get to the gameplay elements of this. So you'll probably see more of this as we'll be doing more streams throughout the year as we get closer to the release date. This is just the start, really.
Mm-hmm.
King Jester 9222. So this is for the Nintendo Switch as well. I just got a Switch, so I'm looking for potential games for it. Yes, and it never came out on the Switch in Japan, but we are bringing it to the Switch. We're bringing it to the Switch. Come on, we're friends. We're bringing it to the Switch this year, along with everything else simultaneously. So right now we're playing it on the PS4, but we hope that future streams will actually have it on the Switch as well.
All right, so we are in the dungeon, the first of many floors within the Labyrinth of Refrain. I already know how to play this game, so I am skipping the tutorials.
So what we see here at the very bottom here is your team of 5 guys here.
Yeah, so you start off with five puppet soldiers. They spring to life upon being exposed to the magical energies in the labyrinth.
The miasma,
yes,
correct?
The miasma. That permeates... Miasma, potato, tomato, like it's fine. They spring to life. This miasma will kill any human that breathes it. So only these magical beings, these Manania, can
the puppet soldiers that the Dusk Witch and her assistant are able to construct.
Yes,
and these are sort of the player character is the book, the book that is with them.
Yes,
that you don't see on here, but the soldiers are actually all, besides these sort of the first tutorial guys, these are all like player created.
Yeah, these are all player. Yeah, you create them from scratch. You select the parts for the puppet that they'll be created from. You imbue them with a soul. You name them. You set their job class or their facet, which if you've played the Witch in the 100 Night series, you'll recognize some terminology crossover in this game as well. So you select their facet, you select their stat growth, their starting abilities and skills.
So to compare it more to Disgaea, it's kind of like when you're starting up Disgaea.
Exactly.
And you're making, you don't just get the story characters, you also get to make your own guys.
Well, this is actually, it's exclusively custom created characters. So unlike Disgaea, there are no, say, story characters who will ever be part of your team.
Yeah.
It is all...
They're all part of the story, which is done a lot of times in Refrain.
Yes. So these are all custom units, and as you get further along, much like this guy, you'll be able to basically transfer the soul to a new body and start it at level 1.
So also think like Disgaea, where you ascend those characters to the higher, reincarnate them to the higher classes and the additional stat points. Very kind of similar in that regard as well. The reincarnation system. Desmax, do these puppet soldiers have voice acting or are they mute? I think they give out little shouts and things.
So one of the things you can, when you create them, you can assign voices to them, and they have voice commands when attacking, when being attacked, defending, all sorts of interactions.
So also a lot like Disgaea, I think past 3 or 2, where they started doing the multiple voices per class, and it's kind of like that.
And every voice has a pretty distinct personality to it, so you're going to want to pick the one that you jive with best. So just now I gathered some mana. So what mana does in these dungeons is, it does 2 things. One, it increases the drop rate. You'll notice that the item drop rate went up upon acquiring some mana. Yes. The other thing too is the more mana you have, the more likely you are you become a more enticing target for the enemies in the dungeon. And if you gather too much mana, what will happen is you'll eventually be you may get mobbed if you're not careful. So there's like this delicate balancing act of like you wanna be gathering mana, because ultimately mana is the resource that dictates, creating puppets and all these other, resource costs associated with it. But gathering too much of it will, make you a easy target.
So this is pretty early on. So the fights are fairly simple. I mean, these are just your temporary. A little spoiler, but these are just your temporary characters that you have.
Yeah. So right now we have 5 covens and a puppet assigned to each coven.
So the coven is the slot.
Coven is the actual. The coven is these slots you see at the bottom of the screen, and there is 1 puppet per coven at the moment. As you get further in, you will unlock what are called pacts, and what these pacts do is you assign them to covens. Those 5 slots at the bottom, and then within those packs you can assign additional puppets in attacking roles, supporting roles, and the coven's kind of collective stat total is effectively the character performing the actions you select.
So it's a bit more complicated than your standard kind of our sort of first-person RPG sort of setup. Actually, can we go back? So next round we'll show off. I saw something real quick. Procedurally generated maps, or no? I believe
it's not procedurally
generated.
No, this is all meticulously designed.
Interesting on the drop rate. Yeah, it's kind of a risk reward sort of thing.
Yes.
So this system has a reincarnation system like this guy.
Yes, it does.
I wanted to answer this one in particular. Nestor the Lark. Hi, is this game good for someone who's never played a first-person dungeon crawler before? And we have a number of different games like this, either that we've released before or we have coming out, like The Lost Child for PS4 and Switch and Vita. And, in comparison to a lot of those titles, how do you think this sort of stacks up comparatively?
I would say this, compared to other dungeon crawlers, I would say this is more mechanically unique in some respects, in the ways that it kind of borrows from the Disgaea series and incorporates that into its own mechanics. I think it also does a good job of kind of slowly introducing the player to these concepts.
Yeah, we don't start out with the full coven.
Yeah, you don't start with the full thing. So it's a very kind of slow burn from the start of the game to where you start having like more puppets to work with, more covens to assign them, and all that noise.
But there's also additionally we get I think that if you are a fan of Disgaea, there are a lot of mechanics that are shared between them, and so that would make it a little bit easier to sort of ease in.
You will recognize just by association what they're talking about, even if the terminology is not quite what you're used to in a Disgaea game. It's similar enough mechanically that if you've just played the Disgaea series and never played, a dungeon RPG before, and you want to sink your teeth into it, like you'll pick up on it pretty quick. It's a really accessible, fun game.
Let's see here. Games at Dusk. You said other games like this are released. What games exactly? Yes, we have Demon Gaze 1 and Demon Gaze 2 that we released earlier.
Yeah, Operation Abyss and Operation Babel as well. Lost Child, like you mentioned before.
That's our upcoming slate.
Yeah, we are no stranger to the dungeon RPG genre.
I'm always having to jump back and forth sometimes I lose my place here. Now there's something a little bit different about the tone in this one than what people are necessarily familiar with Disgaea, because Disgaea it's pretty funny. And it's pretty kind of outlandish and satirical and a little bit. It runs into places of parody, as people would notice the references to certain other genre tropes and things in Disgaea. So how is Coven kind of different from that tonality? So
Coven's tonality is more in line with the Witch and the 100 Nights series. It's a much darker story than you might expect than you would see in a Disgaea game.
I just wanted to cut you off here really quick. So what happened just right here?
So what happened just now is we ran into a pitfall upon exiting this room
with the boss before it,
and immediately fell to another floor. So we took damage from that. Additionally, this floor is coated with miasma so thick that it is actually managing to damage the puppets.
So there's a bit of a survival element to that, where you can only go so far under certain conditions.
So that ends the stream. Thanks for no, I'm just kidding. So your team does die, and then we are treated to a very lovely opening credit sequence that. I don't know. Like I think while this is going, we could probably field a few more questions, maybe.
A bit off topic. Will the first Demon Gaze ever hit PS4? We have nothing to comment about the original Demon Gaze at this time. Dollar Store, sponsor me for Evo, Nisa. Help us get SNK heroines at Evo. Is there any plan to bring Makai Wars over? I have no information on that at the moment. If I die in the Labyrinth, do I die in real life? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I don't. Yeah. So to go back to the question about kind of what you were saying about the tone of the game. Yeah. So this is a much darker game than the Disgaea series. Disgaea has its dark humor, but kind of bent more towards the humor side of the spectrum. This is a little darker, which isn't to say that it doesn't have its humorous moments, but thematically it explores much more serious themes than you've seen explored in a Disgaea game. Or I don't want to say any more than that, but this game goes narratively. This game goes places that are kind of bold,
and it's really kind of. I mean, we see it here, but it's really sort of the theming of it is kind of like a very sort of a dark fairy tale.
Yeah, it's very much Grimm's fairy tale, emphasis on the grim.
The grim.
Yeah. And so this is kind of just recounting.
Is it like The Witch and Hundred Knight? Story-wise, so gameplay-wise, completely different. Witch and the Hundred Knight is kind of an action RPG title, and this is a little bit more of a first-person RPG.
You may notice small references to Witch and the Hundred Knight, but there's no real connection between the two. Like Labyrinth of Refrain is very much kind of doing its own thing.
So we haven't really talked about we've talked briefly about the player character here, but here we're getting a little bit more into who that is. Right.
So we're in this mysterious domain with this resonant voice addressing us.
We can probably just skip through this.
Absolutely.
And so basically, what happens is you have this voice talking to you. And now you're in the evil enigmatic space, which is ominous to say the least.
Yes.
But basically, the idea is you have no physical form, right?
No. So you are actually a soul occupying this book. So we're gonna get to the end of this pretty, straightforward maze for the most part.
Again, this is the game showing you a couple more. Mechanics even in these non-combat parts.
So in later dungeons you'll have these switches you can activate. There'll be things you can jump through or jump over. Even certain dungeons you'll be able to destroy walls and go into rooms that you otherwise would not be able to access. Doing so can be risky. You may suddenly wander into a room where like everyone is 20-30 levels higher than you and you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be here, but
there's a lot of reward to exploration as well.
Absolutely is. Yeah, there's a lot of loot to gather. Loot makes your character stronger. It's how you make money for buying more puppet parts. What's that at the end there? It's the book. So we're gonna skip this.
And so you physically leap into the book and possess it.
Yes. There he is.
That great big smile.
We're gonna skip that too. We can give it a name. Any suggestions for a name?
Let's take some of the suggestions from the it'll take about 20 seconds to kick in. Let's answer some more questions. The labyrinth looks like there's a lot more to it. There's also a lot more options to do with what to do with your characters. Yeah, in sort of standard Disgaea NIS J sort of tradition, we're talking about a game that's really approachable, but with like a ton of depth in it. And so it really rewards you depending on how much time you want to put into it. You put a little into it, get through the storyline, skip through a lot of that stuff, but really sort of experience the storyline, get through that. But if you want to put more into it and do a little bit more exploration, a little bit more character building, you can really get more out of that. Plein air. What did you end up? What did you
go with Nisa.
You went with Nisa.
First choice,
Boo.
obvious choice. I know. I suck. So this is the puppet workbench. So this is actually the whole process of creating a character, which I can kind of walk everyone through, show the different. So your 6 starting job classes are the Astronite, Lance Wielder, probably more appropriate to the front or back lines because of that lance, male or female. The Shinobushi, definitely more offense oriented. They fight with 2 swords. The Theatrical Star, they're more of a support character. They fight
That's
with
incredibly
bells.
cute.
Yeah, they fight with bells. The Marginal Maze, so they're kind of a spell class. They can either be offensive or healing, in either both the front row, or the vanguard, or the back row, or the rear guard. They fight with a lamppost. The Pure Fortress, this is more like your tank class, heavy infantry unit. They fight with guitars that have been repurposed into shields. And the Mad Raptor, which is more of a ranged class that specializes in kind of different elemental damage types.
A little bit non-traditional there. I see. If you go back to the Mad Raptor, I see flame, fog, and mud elements.
Yeah, so these are if you play Witch of the 100 now, you'll recognize these elements as well, in terms of damage types, male and female. So I think we always want to do an Astronite. Okay, and for this we could do a random name. Let's see.
Oh, I kind of liked Vicky. Jail.
Sure.
There we go.
I don't even know how to pronounce
Bougainvillea.
Okay. So from here you can choose different appearances.
We have the additional... So the original title, I believe, came with 2 different appearances for each class.
So every class has 2 appearances, and then a third one you can unlock through normal playthrough. And then the PS4 version of the game, when it came out in Japan, additionally has a third one. And for the Astronite, that third one is kind of this masked... for the Astronite.
But we have all the additional appearances from the get-go in these versions.
So you can pick their nature. This is going to affect their modifiers when they equip. If you've played Disgaea, you'll kind of recognize these percentages when you're equipping gear. You'll see what kind of benefits they get from equipment as you put them on. So you can pick any of these different natures, and you'll see.
So you can really sort of hone in on the type, because a lot of these classes fall maybe between 2 or 3 different roles, and so really honing in from the get-go on the exact kind of character that you want to make.
Right. So, so for example, if you wanted to go more strength focused, you would pick a nature like Brave or Reckless, and then you would see that maybe if you go Reckless, your HP is a little lower. Or you could try to go more balanced spread. It's all good. Go more stickler. Your voice options. So we've got some voice options here. Go with that one. This right here, what you're seeing, this affects your actual stat growth when you level up. So if you go natural, you're going to see a more balanced spread than if you go...
Balanced, but for the class.
Well, yeah, more based on its nature. And then flat is like super balanced, where everything kind of grows averagely. You don't really excel at anything. And then if you go sharp, you can see how HP and strength get super, emphasized compared to Donum Power and Donum Points, which get, really diminished.
And Donum Power and Donum Points is kind of the MP style skills.
MP
magic.
So magic in this game is interesting because it's not tied to any particular class. Donum or magic is tied to the specific coven or pact that your characters are placed in. So if you have a pact that can allow, 3 attackers in it, that pact will have a set of Donum that only members of that coven can use.
Okay. I like this one from Mr. Mingo. Why Mad Raptor and not Rad Maptor?
Not rad enough, in my opinion. So your skill selection. So when you create a character, they come with 2 innate skills from the get-go. This character comes with Warspire, which gives them an increased critical rate with lances, and they're also able to survive fatal damage with 1 HP, one time only. So they will always start with these skills. You can then select an additional skill on top of that. And then as you level up, you'll be able to pick more skills to... you'll be able to learn more skills. And then if you do decide to... transfer their soul to a new puppet and start over, depending on what level you're at when you do that, you may be able to keep some of these skills with you when you carry them over. So this is a good way to kind of get like cross-class skills from one character to another.
Kind of getting shades of sort of abilities.
Little bit. Yeah, little bit. This is your lucky number. So this
my favorite.
So this is seems arbitrary at first, but it affects some like kind of random,
I love this part at the bottom of the description. May or may not cause certain effects to happen.
Yeah, so we can pick any number from 0 to 99, and that will...
Shycon, is there a release date yet? Our release date currently, we're commenting, is fall 2018.
And finally, you can do flavor text, and this is basically just text that will appear at the bottom of the screen when you've selected the character.
Which is just sort of fun to throw in for your own...
Just for fun.
RPing purposes, or just possibly for organizational.
Organizational, note-taking, yeah, absolutely.
It reminds you, this guy I made for attacking. Mm-hmm. And you never forget.
So...
Because you're going to have to control a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
So organizational is really key. And sort of early on, you're just sort of filling the roster. But as you go along, you're going to be thinking a lot about different roles to fill and sort of alternatives and things. Which is why it's also great to have all these different... the different options for what they look like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So now we're doing a Mad Raptor. This one, I'm just going to go with... I'm not looking. That name. Carol. His name is Carol. Excellent. Appearance. We'll go with this dude.
He looks like a heartbreaker.
Yeah.
Potato Baron 3. Real talk, I'm super excited about the flavor text changer. Real talk? Me too.
It's a nice feature. It's a nice feature.
When I was playing around, I'm a big stickler for character creators and stuff, and I admit when I was doing my first round on this, I spent a lot of time just sort of going over this sort of thing and filling out pretty in-depth the message field.
Sleepy time. So one of the conceit of this game...
also love the nickname.
Yeah, so Sleepy T, yeah. So, the some of the names are a little sillier, and that's actually because Luca is naming these things when you with these.
So that'd be the young apprentice to Dronia, who's a bit more playful.
Yeah, she's a very very little girl. She has a kind of a playful sense of humor.
Potato Baron 3. Are we getting this on PS4 and PC? We are indeed PS4, PC, and Switch.
Okay, so we have our units made. Okay, so we can... I'm going to skip that because it's easy. So here's where you form your brigade. Okay? We've got 5 Coven slots right here. And we have 3 packs. So we've got the Fighter Pact, the Schemer Pact, and the Healer Pact. So your Fighter Pact is going to occupy this first slot. From there, in the Attacker slot, you're going to put your Attacker. So I'm going to put Bougainvillea there. Here, we're going to have Schemer. And this is going to be where like kind of my mage chills. So I'm going to have... I'm going to actually have Carol there. Because Carol can kind of... the Mad Raptor can kind of fulfill both roles as like healer or ranged attacker.
Okay, cool.
Or not healer, offensive mage attacker. And then here, I'm going to have... Sleepy T, yeah. Is the Healer Pact. And then because she's in this pact, she will have access to... the Instant Aid Donum, and Carol will have access to the Flame Dance Donum, and Bougainvillea, there is no Donum in the Fighter Pact, so she is fine there. And then you'll notice each slot has its own kind of little effect. So Bougainvillea is going to have 25% increased attack for being in this slot. No effect for Carol.
Just the skill.
Just the Donum it comes with, and then... Sleepy Time, the Donum cost of Instant Aid is going to be reduced to 50% of its original value. So as you get further in the game and unlock more packs, more of these slots will fill up to 3 at the front and 5 at the back for a support role. And what that's going to end up doing, it's going to open up a lot more options in terms of just a lot more options in terms of like characters and support effects they bestow, and what have you. So we go to team made. We're gonna.
Azantix Media Official, is this on Switch? Not this version, so this is the PS4 version that we're playing today, but this will be coming out on Switch and PC
So
as well.
After a bunch of story stuff that I skipped because, no spoilers, we're back in the dungeon with a whole new team than we started out with.
And now you've moved, so now you have the Vanguard, the guys in the front, and now switched to the rear guard.
So these two can function in the rear guard just fine, so I moved them there. So what's going to happen is Bougainville is kind of going to be the primary target of attacks, but as long as we got Sleepy Time providing healing, it shouldn't pose too much of a problem. And so if I wanted to, I could Flame Dance.
So you sort of set up what you're going to do for that round. I mean, we sort of skipped a lot over the combat and whatnot.
Yeah.
But the idea is that you set up your commands for the round and then execute kind of the same way in this guy or other first-person RPGs if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, so you'll issue all your commands at once for each coven, and then let it play out, and then they'll play out in order of, turn order based on, each unit's speed, enemy, and enemy and monster.
So I've seen some conversation in the chat about the online store hack, which if you were affected by that, you would have already received an email from us. Please check our email. There's a lot of good information in there, what you can do. We were unfortunately the victim of a pretty malicious attack by an outside group. We have completely secured it again, so the store is secure to use. I just wanted to reiterate that if there are any questions or something to that effect, you should have received, if you shopped with us before, you should have received an email about exactly what happened and what you can do going forward.
So if you're returning at the beginning of the stream, this room might look familiar. This is the room where we fell to our deaths. And then you'll notice that certain attacks are effective when they land. That has to do with the damage type of the attack. So if you look in the upper left corner of the character portrait, you're going to see those little colored squares. And what those represent is the damage type that their attacks deal. So we kind of get some little more info if we go to like the fastest screen, so we can see, for example, that Bougainville does pierce damage. Carol.
Where are we seeing that right now?
So you can see the elemental indicators right there.
Okay, so underneath those,
yeah, let me see if I can. Yeah, here we go. So here's the specific.
So under weapon element, you can then see what the elements they're doing.
So piercing and fire, and then she does blunt and fire.
Okay.
And then you can also see their proficiencies with their respective weapons as well.
I think I saw somebody else ask earlier about giving classes different weapons that aren't normally associated with their classes.
You can. They may not be as effective with them. There are ways of gaining that effectiveness that will involve kind of more cross-class training and soul transferring, but it's certainly possible. As the game opens up, you will have kind of more tools at your disposal to really customize your team as you see fit. And we got another soul vial. That's important for making another puppet soldier when we get back to the surface.
Okay.
So now we're starting to encounter multiple dudes at once. And we should probably heal Bougainville.
Azantix Media Official, so the people who got affected get compensation. If you were affected, it will be in the email about compensation. Thank you. Cody Wright 211 looks great. Thanks. Potato Baron 3, I like the graphic style, nice and colorful. Yeah, and it's kind of like, this is really early on.
This is very early in the game.
And this is just sort of one. I've seen some of the stuff later on. It is really, there's a big variety of different sort of setting. It's quite amazing how sort of how much places change from one part to another. It's
very artistically it's beautiful, but it's also grotesque at times. The art is really just kind of something to behold. I think it's a beautiful game, especially the enemy design. is really delightful.
Aaron SSBB, can you have Prinny in your party?
No, unfortunately.
Prinnies don't do well with miasma, apparently.
No, I would say that they don't.
Miasma.
It's both. It's either or.
Either or. So we were on the receiving end of, I don't know if you saw earlier, but we were on the receiving end of
gore hit.
Gore hit. So that's a mechanic that can occur where you take damage to a specific section of the puppet's body. It can be their head, one of their limbs, and what happens,
we have to remind people.
Yeah.
The characters that you're playing as are wooden puppets.
They are wooden puppets. Yes, they are
brought to life by the book.
Yeah, none of these characters are actual people.
And in being made of wood and puppets, can maybe get certain parts smashed off.
Yes, exactly. And so when that happens, you do incur a stat penalty and some other nasty stuff until you're able to go back to the surface and repair the puppet. You're also able to potentially, you may find items in the dungeon that will let you perform repairs in the field, but for the most part, if you've been subjected to a gore hit, you're basically debilitated until you're able to leave. And you can actually see that little line on their health bars for Bougainvillea and Sleepy Time, just showing where their max HP threshold has been not permanently reduced, but until they're repaired, that is the new threshold.
I still love these names. I saw some comments thing about what is hardest to port to PC. Neither of us are developers.
Yeah, couldn't.
So we really couldn't comment so much on that. Getting something on PS. Checking comments. I think we're good for now.
So what I'm actually trying to do is get out. I think I've bitten off more than I can chew. The enemies have certainly bitten off.
And so, like other other first person sort of dungeon style games like this one, it's not always a matter of just going to the dungeon and just blowing through it, like other RPGs.
No,
a lot of RPGs, you go into a dungeon with the expectation of getting through the other side.
Yeah, with this, any progress is good progress. Even if it's just mapping more of the current floor you're on, finding better loot, if you can go in and come out better than you were before, that's a good day in the dungeon.
So that's a little bit different than what I typically like to. I typically like to sort of forewarn people that it's like when you start getting into certain games, and you don't know necessarily sort of the best. You kind of get a mismatched idea of how to play it, right? And so frustrations can get through because you're attempting to play it through in a way that you thought was the way, but then turns out differently. And so I like to sort of then reinforce it here that the expectation should be progress but not completion. And so sometimes you gotta take what you got, because you're going in and you're getting all this stuff. Take what you got, get out with it, find a way to restock, and come back stronger.
Definitely. Okay, so we're back on the first. So let's see. Let's consult the map. So I basically need to get back to that E.
Okay.
To get out of here.
But it's a little easier once you get up here because then as you sort of come up, things are getting a little bit easier.
Maybe not so bad on this floor. Might just make it out of here.
Potato Baron 3, can you revive downed party members?
You can. There is an item called a jitterbug that will let you do that. However, the catch is that if the dead character or downed party member was on the receiving end of a gore hit, and that gore hit destroyed their head, you cannot revive them until you go to the surface and repair their head first.
That would be a little bit too grisly, having a party member. It would be bad morale for the entire team to have a party member walking around without a head.
Yeah. So as long as their head is intact, you can revive them.
Kamikaze Prenny, are the stat gains on level up going to be set or randomized like some other dungeon crawlers? Well, you probably showed up just pretty soon, but early before we were going through a lot of the character creations stuff. And in the character creation thing, there's a lot of different factors that go into creating a character, which oftentimes will sort of figure out growth.
Yeah.
So you actually have a lot of command in what will go up, though I believe
which stats are emphasized when
to an effect. It is random.
Partially, yeah, but you have a lot of control over which stats are emphasized when you level up. So you can go back to any past dungeon, like how Disgaea. You can go back to whenever. Sort of. The idea is that you're in a labyrinth with multiple floors to it. So as you progress deeper in the labyrinth and access multiple floors, as you get further in and deeper in, you will be able to kind of dispatch to those deeper floors. So you don't have to completely work your way through.
You get checkpoints.
Exactly. But you can easily revisit any past floor, and
we mentioned before. There are different skills and things in the game, traversal stuff. Especially if you haven't mapped it all out, or even if you've mapped it all out, there may be places where you get a skill later on. You have to return to it to find the secret area, which may not, even though you're on the same floor that you were before, it may be more difficult.
Right. So maybe, exactly. You may not be strong enough for an area you once visited, and may want to go back and revisit it once you feel, oh shoot. Well, then. Here we are. Hello, darkness, my old friend. It's funny, too, because as I was approaching that hole, I was thinking, I think that's a hole. And then I fell in it, and yeah. So we just got some equipment, some farmer robes. I'll put them on there. So, okay. Yeah, I really want to get out of here. I'm having a bad time. Oh no. I'm dying. Okay. Well, so we're down a party member and I cannot bring her back.
So I'm seeing a lot of comments in the chat about the Vita version because this game did originally come out and the Vita in Japan.
Yes.
We are only talking about the PS4, PC, and Switch versions of the game. Those are the versions that we're bringing to the States. I know that there's a lot of people out there who talked about a lot of our other Vita titles. We are supporting certain Vita titles through the next coming months, digitally only. But as a whole, I think anybody can sort of look at the current status of the Vita as it pertains to North America and Europe, and then sort of draw their own conclusions. That's basically all I'm going to say about that topic. So.
So let's see if I can get back out of here. Check the map again. Okay, so I'm not too far. Ain't nothing bad gonna happen today. And I fight a thistlehead. Yeah, definitely. I think I went a little too greedy, too deep on this one. I'm not. They're really putting me through the ringer on this venture. Could also be my team comp. Maybe I should have gone with different units instead of these three. I don't know. Really, I blame Sleepy Time. I think she is the weak link in all this.
Sleepy Time living up to her namesake.
Asleep on the job.
Yeah, just kind of coasting through.
Even right now,
didn't want to hold weight.
She's just lying there, not even moving. Like, someone better wake her up. So, oh man.
Oh jeez.
Oh god. Oh, and one of them had a So occasionally, I don't know if you saw that little kind of like flashy animation when an enemy showed up, but certain enemies may have a chance of appearing with a title, and you can see this one is an ogre thistlehead.
Oh my god!
So you can see it has basically
3 times the HP,
3 times as many health.
I think.
Let's run.
Valor and some such.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
Oh man. Well, this is demoralizing.
This has gone from bad to worse.
Okay. Oh man.
Potato Baron 3. Can you get monster units?
No. All your only units are the ones that you create at the puppet workbench. Oh dear. Yeah, we gotta run.
Just run.
Because here's the thing. Yeah, I could.
Book it.
Oh jeez.
Boosto!
It never ends.
You know what? That Boosto has invigorated me. I think I'm going to try to fight my way out.
Flarashi, how hard do you guys think this game will be to run on PC spec-wise? Like I said, make sure that you're wish-listed on the PC page. I don't think we have specs up there yet, but we will update that to make sure it does have specs. I can't really comment right now exactly where we think it's going to be, but like you said, probably not too hard to run. We're not talking Assassin's Creed Origins here.
No.
So,
Switch.
I would imagine pretty modest, pretty similar probably to Disgaea 5, but please don't wait till we get to the official ones out to sort of, coming to your own conclusions about it.
Oh, I think I can escape. I think I've escaped. Yes.
Okay, a narrow.
So when you return, you get your experience. So had I died in there, I would not have gotten nearly as many rewards. So all is well.
As the charred and beaten puppet pieces limp their way back to base camp.
Yes, thoroughly demoralized. So we're gonna need to repair puppets, certain ones. So it just costs parts. I don't have any. So here's the thing: if you don't have the parts, you can just pay money up front to repair them, but if you do have the parts, it's significantly cheaper to fix them. And in fact, as you see the parts on the side all the way from junk to premium. When you make puppets, those are the same parts you use to actually make your puppet, and then the quality of your puppet's also going to affect how much it costs to repair them. So you definitely want to make sure that, like, if you're running a team of like premium puppets, that you've got the the cash to back up any unfortunate.
I also saw in there really briefly it had a bulk repair thing, kind of like this guy with the full heal sort of settings.
Did this game have DLC like characters from just NIS game, or they unlocked? There are, in addition to these 6 starting facets or job classes at the start of the game, there are 2 additional ones that can be unlocked through normal playthrough.
Hakuro 46, similar to Disgaea 5, which also is known as PC. I apologize, I misspoke. I meant Disgaea 1 PC. If you look at sort of those specs, I think I would imagine it would be very similar to that.
And so the Witch Petition. So earlier I mentioned mana. So one of the things you'll be using mana to spend on is the Witch Petition. What the Witch Petition does is it's basically benefits you can receive from the Lady Witch Madame Dronia for permanent unlockables, in-game benefits, rename. Right now all we can do is rename puppet soldiers and adjust the difficulty. But as you get further and unlock additional
sort of similar
petitions.
To the different petitions in Disgaea as well. Whichever one you're sort of playing, because it's in 3 it's the class.
Yeah, except no pesky Senate to vote you out, and
nice.
You have to fight your way to pass it. You just have to be able to provide her with the mana. You got the mana, you're good to go. Otherwise
she's like, okay.
Yeah, basically. So we're back. We're a little more healed, so we can try this again.
Flarash, do you have any idea of the file size of this game? Not this time. When we get closer to it and when you start looking at mastering up, you get a better idea of how much space it will actually wind up taking up.
Okay, so let's go over here because I haven't been this way. It's very important to, like, once you map an area, it remains mapped. So it's very good to kind of explore every nook and cranny and make sure that you're mapping the full surface of the layout. And then if you see anything destructible, destroy it. You might get an item for doing it, you might not. But there's no reason not to destroy stuff. Well, I shouldn't say that, but because destroy stuff if you feel like it.
If you're feeling particularly destructive, destroy stuff.
Yeah, no one will judge you. We're already having a slightly better time.
Flashy, my hard drive is crying due to the 100 gigabyte preload of Final Fantasy 15. It will not be 100 gigabytes.
Yeah, that's...
If there's anything I've been really certain of during this stream to be able to comment on, it's that fact.
Yeah, this will not be 100 gigabytes.
Pay with Dad's credit card. Hi, friends. Hello.
Okay, so this area has been surveyed.
So eventually you'll start unlocking different covens and such and be able to expand your team to more units.
Yes.
And sort of that's how you develop sort of slowly. We started out, by the way, with, if you're new to the stream, we started with 5 at the bottom. That's sort of the total number. But we're at 3 past the tutorial, and then sort of grows back from there, and then exceeds that number as we get into the...
Correct.
What was the terminology behind that again? The player, the ones behind the top 3. So the front 3 and the back 3.
There's the Vanguard and the Rear Guard.
Vanguard, Rear Guard.
Yeah.
Gus888, is this on a game system? We're playing this one on the PS4 version. This game will be coming to PS4 and Switch and PC fall 2018. Aaron SSBB, the important question is, will this game have loot boxes? No.
Nope.
0.
It will have loot, but no boxes. You just find it.
You just get loot in the game.
Yeah, you just strip it off a monster carcass, or find it in a treasure chest, which is itself a type of box that contains loot. But it's not a loot box.
Let's not get confused.
I know.
Here.
I'm confusing myself. I'm sorry. Yes, there are no loot boxes. I know what you mean. None of that noise.
The question of our age, as it were.
Yes, it's called loot boxes, and it's all the rage among... Alright. So, let's see. I don't really want to fall down that hole if I don't have to. That seems like a painful way, like, because there are stairs. So why would I use the hole?
The whole hole, not part of the hole.
Right.
Use the whole hole.
Yeah.
Got to add a massive no loot boxes included inside on the cover.
Yeah, that's boy. What a time to be alive.
Okay, so it's about 3:56. We only sort of, scattered out sort of an hour to be able to go through this with you guys.
And we've really barely scratched the surface of this game.
Yeah, this is where maybe less than 1% in.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's...
But we just really we're really thankful for you guys for coming out and checking out the game with us. We really just want to show what this game's all about because we did debut it last month at the press event, but with sort of very little gameplay footage. And so we really hope this sort of instructed a lot of you guys and sort of deciding what this game is and hopefully got you excited about it. Yeah, this is, again, Labyrinth of Refrain, Coven of Dusk. We're going to update the Giant Bomb entry so that it'll appear correctly underneath on the game description going forward. This is just the first stream of many streams that we're looking to do. Yeah, it's going to be coming to PC, PS4, and Switch fall 2018. Again, I am Travis of NISA's marketing. I'm NISA's marketing supervisor,
and I'm Robert, lead editor for Labyrinth of Refrain.
We hope you guys really liked it, checked it out. Share the video with your friends when it's done archiving. Yeah, thanks for checking out, guys. We hope to hopefully have another one of these really soon.
Thanks for watching.